The last video showed you how to play a simple 3-note pattern like this and move it horizontally on the entire fretboard on all 6 strings, and then connect it with a triad like this. And this works because the outer notes of this pattern are always a third apart. So we then utilize the third relationships between major and minor triads. But in this video I will show you how to play big arpeggios. The goal of this video is to extend the exercise from the previous lesson, so we will return to our scale pattern and start connecting the triad shapes again, but this time we will connect multiple triad shapes vertically along the fretboard, so that we transform the exercise from part 1 into something like this. Hey friend, it's Gregor here. For this exercise, it's best if you have gone through the first part of this video series and have spent some time practicing the exercises there, because this one here is just an extension of the previous one. And as soon as you are familiar with playing the triads on more than just the E, B and G string, you will recognize and play the big arpeggios far more easily. But most importantly, you will understand why they are played this way. So let's briefly recap the basic concept of the first video before we move on. I have shown you how to connect a typical 3-note scale pattern by using only the natural notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G and connecting them with their triads, by only using the outer notes of the 3-note scale pattern as a harmonic reference point, because they are always a third apart, either a minor third or a major third. And this allows us to think of every pattern position as a major triad as well as a related minor. The reason why this works lies simply in the fact that triads are made of 2 thirds. A major triad is a major third and a minor third, and a minor triad is built the exact opposite, a minor third and a major third. Therefore we can easily change between these two when playing these 3-note patterns. To transition from triads to big arpeggios, it's best to picture them vertically as a series of triads. Look, big arpeggios played over 6 strings can easily be viewed as a series of 4 triads played vertically. And again, if you are already familiar with playing the triads, it's very easy to recognize them here. And you just need to connect the dots. Let me show you what I mean. Here is a G major arpeggio played across 6 strings. Take a moment to recognize the triads that you may have already practiced. The first one on the E, B and G string. The next one on the B, G and D string. The next on the G, D and A string. And the last one on the D, A and low E string. Okay, let's go through the arpeggios with our familiar scale pattern here. So you will see that it's just an extension of the first exercise. But be aware, these big arpeggios are relatively hard to play, especially at the lower positions, because they require quite long stretches. The first two shapes are using open strings, so they are not that handy for using them in soloing, but that is simply the way the guitar is constructed, so we have to deal with it. You start the pattern on the high E string and you focus on the lowest and highest notes of this pattern to establish the right triad that you can play over here. The outer notes are E and G, so it's a minor third, and now you have to take a look at which triad has a minor third with E and G, and it's E minor and C major. So right after playing the one string pattern, you descend on the E minor arpeggio until you hit the low E string like this. And then you hammer on the third fret on the low E string to hit the G. After that, you ascend on the minor arpeggio like this. Notice that this arpeggio is made of several triad shapes that you may already know from doing the first exercise. It starts on the E, B and G string, then the one on the B, G and D string, then the one on the G, D and A string, and the one on the D, A and low E string. Now you play the pattern again, but transition to the related triad of E minor, which is C, because the C major chord shares the minor third E and G. And now ascend until you hit the high E string and go back to the B string to play the C like this. Notice that this arpeggio is also made of several triad shapes, so picture them real quick to see how this arpeggio is made. It starts on the E, B and G string, then on the B, G and D string, next on the G, D and A string, and the last one on the D, A and low E string. Let's move on to the next position. Here you play this pattern here, which has F and A as the third, which is the F major and the D minor triad. So let's start with the F major. And this arpeggio is made from the following triad. It starts on the E, B and G string, then on the B, G and D string, next on the G, D and A string, and the last on the D, A and E string. Next you transition to the D minor, which goes like this. And here the arpeggio is made of just 3 triad shapes, because you play the pull off and hammer on the A string. So it starts on the E, B and G string, then on the B, G and D string, and last on the G, D and A string. Next is the G major and E minor triad. The G arpeggio is made from the following same triad shapes as the previous F major shape. And the E minor arpeggio is the same as the D minor, but without playing the open string. Move one up and it's now A minor and F major. Next is B diminished and G major. Then it's C major and A minor. And next is D minor and B diminished. And the last one is the E minor and C major triad, on which we started this exercise, but this time it's an octave higher. As you can see, it's closely related to the first exercise, but now you play larger arpeggios than just the basic 3-string arpeggios from the first exercise. And another thing I want you to notice here is that you are playing through the triad inversions when moving them vertically. Let's take a look at the last C major arpeggio again. You start on the second inversion, and then it's the first inversion, and then it's the root position. And then it's the second inversion again. Although the theory of inversions doesn't make much sense here when playing arpeggios, but it's a good thing to know that it does work this way on the guitar. Who knows, maybe you'll need this someday. Okay, let's recap here what we have learned so far with doing both exercises. Take a moment to notice what you really have accomplished here, so you can connect the concepts, deepen your understanding and really get a better understanding of your guitar fretboard. First, you have learned to play the natural notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G across a single string on every string. So you now have an overview of the natural notes on the entire fretboard. And second, you learned how to recognize a major and its related minor triad when playing a scale that is based on a 3-note per string pattern, because you know that the inner and outer notes are forming thirds, which is the basis of every triad. And third, you have learned to play major, minor and diminished triad on the entire fretboard. And notice that the best way to conceptualize them is by categorizing them into 4 3-string sets. So there are the triads on the E, B and G string, the triads on the B, G and D string, the triads on the G, D and A string, and the triads on the D, A and low E string. And fourth, you have learned to connect triads vertically. This makes it possible to play big arpeggios across 5 to 6 strings. As you may guess, there is really a lot to process here. And this will probably take you a few months or maybe even longer to really get it right, given that you take action and practice the exercises that I showed you here. But you really will benefit a lot from doing this. Once you can handle this concept, you have built a really solid foundation to build upon. So to benefit the most from it, please make sure that you go through the exercises in part 1 of this video series, so these exercises here will make more sense to you. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Also let me know if and where exactly you struggle with this concept, so that I can create better content for you. Would you be interested in seeing a third part of this topic, or maybe even how you can put all of this in a workout plan so that you can practice this effectively? So get to work, let me know what you think of it, stay tuned, have fun, and I see you in the next video.